Back home, the government's gang crackdown is filling up our prisons, but at what cost? A Hawke's Bay inmate is dead after an incident on Sunday. Meanwhile, 3 others face charges over a brutal assault at Auckland Prison last month. A third of our gang population is now behind bars, and surprise, surprise, violence is escalating. Sociologist Jarrod Gilbert with me this morning. Jarrod, good morning.
Morning, Ryan. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Some would say better the violence in there than out here.
Well, I guess that's right, but it doesn't alleviate the fact that the prisons are a pretty tough place when the gangs have got as much control as they do, at least in an informal way.
Is it about who's got control, or is it better that someone has control, or is the reason we're seeing this violence because there are wars going on, scraps going on for that dominance?
No. Inside, no, I don't think that's right. Interestingly enough, the prisons tend to be, as a general rule, tend to be relatively peaceful. The gangs coexist, but they coexist with difficulty. And so that blows up from time to time. The concern, I think, with the gangs in prison is the amount of informal control they have over the other prisoners, and therefore actually over the prison itself. And clearly that has significant implications for the idea of rehabilitation within the prisons. And this is really problematic, a real concern, I would argue. And in fact, it has been for a long time. And perhaps the best indicator of that is the increasing use of protective custody, voluntary protective custody, because the prisons are getting too tough because the gangs dominate the prison culture.
Is there a country, is there someone who is doing this right? Rehabilitation, obviously, should be number one priority. We're not doing it well. We haven't, as you said. Can you point to anywhere and say, actually, they're doing it well?
Yeah, we can. There's some sort of obvious examples in those Scandinavian countries, but the demographics that we have, the situation in New Zealand, I think is quite substantially different. So while I think there are some lessons we can learn, I think the solutions have to come from us, and I don't think we've found those at the moment. And while when you come into a unit in the prison, or if you change units at the prison, you get asked, the first question you get asked is, who are you with? i.e., are you with a gang? And if you are, you know where you go, where you sit. If the answer comes back, you're not with someone, they ask you your name and where you're from, so they can find out who you are. And unless you can fight and hold yourself kind of tough, then you're going to get exploited in there. And that's not conducive to the way we would ideally like prisons to run. Is there an easy answer to that? No, there's not, but we need to find one.
Yeah, we certainly do, Jarrod, because that violence inside can't continue. And there are people's lives who have been lost in the process. Really appreciate your time this morning, Jarrod. Really good to see you, Jarrod Gilbert, the sociologist.
Always good to see you. Cheers, Ryan.
Gang violence. It is 27